Okay, relationship real talk. Haha, relationship real talk from my bed because this is the way we're going to do relationship real talk today. I am still coming out of some pretty awesome jet lag. So I remembered, oh my God, relationship real talk. I had a a desire to share about some juicy themes and give you guys a really good dose, like a 20-minute dose of something really powerful each week, and to do that on a Wednesday. And I've been over in London, and now I'm like, my God, it's Wednesday and I'm still all over the place. And the authenticity, the realness is something that I am inviting people into around their relationships, because I know that when I started to get more real, when I started to get more real, when I started to get more unapologetically authentic in my relationship with myself, with other people, with the world, everything changed. So, what do I want to talk about today? This is a really big theme that has been coming up a lot over the last little while, not only for myself but also for my clients, is around putting our needs in front of, putting everyone else's needs in front of our own, right? In front of our own. And I was so guilty of doing this for so many years, for most of my life. And what I realized was that not only was I putting everyone else's needs ahead of my own, that I didn't even have needs. I wasn't even allowed to have needs. And I've got three things that I want to share in this video. But before I do, this piece around not even having needs, I used to say to people, don't put your needs at the bottom of the list. Don't, put them at the bottom of the pile. And when I discovered for myself that I wasn't even allowed to have needs, that's how unimportant and non-existent my needs actually were. I was so used to putting everyone else's needs ahead of my own. So what does this look like? It looks like people pleasing, right? Having someone else's comfort, someone else's desires, someone else's needs, right? And making them more important than ours, right? People pleasing. Saying yes to other people, which is saying no to ourselves. And this came up in a call that I ran yesterday with my mastermind crew around how often we do this, how often we say yes to other people outside and say no to ourselves. So, over accommodating other people, right? Losing yourself to keep the peace, right? Continually saying no to ourselves. And this is a flight response. What we were doing yesterday was going over and starting to really dive into our internal environment, our stress responses, right? Our trauma responses. What happens when we get triggered? What is it that we do? And flight is a response that a lot of people know. They generally know the fight or the flight, not often knowing the less well known other responses, the other three responses, which are freeze, when we go into total can't move, like energetic shutdown, or when we go into fawn, and when we go into flop, right? Flop being complete helplessness, powerlessness, completely giving up. So these other three responses, not many people are so aware of, or if they are, like the fight and the flight, if they are aware of them, not actually knowing, not actually clocking when they're in them, right? Not actually knowing that that's what it is that they're doing. So, people pleasing is a flight response. It is something that we do, right, to keep ourselves safe, something that we have been taught how to do or taught ourselves to do. It's a way that we've regulated our nervous system in the past. And it is huge to actually know that we're doing this. And most of us don't know we're doing this. What are the three things that I want to share in this video? The three things that I want to share are If you put the needs of everyone else ahead of your own, you don't get what you want, right? It sounds really obvious, but most of us want to get what we want, right? We want to go for what we love. We want to experience our desires. We want to experience what we would love to be experiencing. And we don't get it because we're so busy putting the needs of everyone else in front of our own, right? We don't say yes to ourselves first, right? And sometimes that means saying no to everyone else, right? Saying no to the people that are outside of ourselves. So it sounds really obvious, but you don't get what you want. So if you want to start getting what you want in life, then you've got to learn how to start putting your needs first. You've got to learn how to start saying yes to yourself and no to every other fucker outside of yourself. What else? What else is, these three things that I wanted to share in this video? And this is a big one, right? You teach others that your needs aren't important. You're teaching them. And then the problem is, most of us get pissed off at other people when they're not honoring our needs or respecting our needs or hearing our needs, looking after our needs, right? And they're not going to do that if you keep teaching them that your needs are not important. If you keep putting them at the bottom of the pile, or if you were like I was in the past, and when I was able to shine light on this and this rose up to be seen, I was completely shocked and it slapped me in the face, realizing that I wasn't even allowed to have needs. If I'm not allowed to have needs, how am I going to teach other people about those needs? How am I going to let them know that I have them and to honor and respect them and hear them, right? See them. So, if you're putting your needs last, if you're putting the needs of everyone else ahead of your own, you are teaching them that your needs are not important or that you don't have needs. It's a huge one. And here's the last thing that I want to share before I share a couple of stories around this, because oh my God, there's some stories that I can share. Just in my recent experience being over in London. The third piece is that you teach your kids how to do the same. You teach them how to do the same. If you are putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own, you are going to teach your kids that that is what you do, to put everyone else's needs ahead of their own needs, right? And most of us don't want that for our kids. Right? We think we're loving them by putting their needs ahead of our own, by saying yes to them and saying no to ourselves at the same time. And the thing that you are actually doing is teaching them how to put their needs at the bottom of the list, or that they're not allowed to have needs, and will mean that they end up teaching other people that their needs aren't important either. And as I said, most of us don't want that for our kids. So we have to sort it here. We can't teach them. We can't tell them, oh, honey, you need to, let your boyfriend know that you have needs too. You need to let your friends know that you have needs too, your employer, whoever it is. They're not going to hear that, right? Why am I doing this? Here. It's like I'm doing charades. They're not going to hear that. What they are going to receive, right, is the modeling of your behavior, because that's how it works. Right? Imagine how powerful it would have been knowing that, getting taught that at school, right? Having that in the parent manual that doesn't exist, that I love to help people create, how parents create for themselves, how they actually want to be a parent and what's true for them. Imagine if we had been taught that, right? And we haven't been taught that, so we keep on modeling this behavior all under the guise of loving our kids, and what we're actually doing is disempowering them into the same freaking cycles, right? So what else did I want to say? I wanted to give you a few stories. So listen up to these, because these are really, really good. And these happened just as I was in London, and the lessons. There were a couple of big lessons that I got that I know my mum was there to learn as well. And this was definitely her number one, to stop putting everyone else's needs ahead of her own, because she is so wired, bless her heart and her cotton socks and all the things, but she is so wired, like so many people are, right? And especially in that older generation, but we have, it's been passed down to only think about the needs of everyone else, like her needs aren't even coming into the conversation. And I want to tell you the ice cream story, because this is a good one. And bless you, mum, this was a story that you played a starring role in. I bought a box of 6 Magnums while I was over in London. We were staying with family, and I was like, we can all have a Magnum together. And that night, mum said, she said to everyone that we, the rest of us in the family that were all staying together, oh, would you guys like to have your ice cream now? And then she looked at me, would you like to have your ice cream tonight? Should we have the ice cream? Do you want to have the ice cream? And I was like, nah, I don't really want to have the ice cream tonight. I had heaps of dinner. I don't want it tonight. And the other people, the other members of the family said the same thing. What came out the next day was that she wanted to have the ice cream. She wanted to have it, but she's asking everyone else if they want to have it, right? Indirectly trying to express what she wants, right? And it's bullshit. And it means that she didn't get that first thing, the number one thing that I told you, is you don't get what you want if you don't clearly ask for what you want. Only the squeaky wheel gets the oil, mum. If you don't say it, you ain't going to get it, right? And so this is what I was talking about with my mum, and what I was talking about with that first step, first piece of awareness, the 3 things that I wanted to share. If you keep putting the needs of everyone else in front of yourself, you don't get what you want. Mum didn't get what she wanted. She wanted the frickin' ice cream. She wanted to eat the ice cream, and she didn't get it because we didn't want to have it, and she wasn't able to say, hey. Because if she had said this, it would have had a different outcome. If she had have said to me, hey, I really want to have the ice cream tonight, I might have said, oh, you're right. Okay, go on. Let's do it. Right? A little bit of peer pressure. Right? But because she went around, she skirted around the issue. She didn't ask directly for what she wanted. Right? She didn't use what I like to call advanced communication, where you just say the thing. You ask for what you want. She didn't get the ice cream, right? We did have it the next night or the next couple of nights or whenever, but she wanted it then and she didn't ask for it. So, Mum, ask for the ice cream. Tell us what you want. That was one of her biggest lessons. This whole theme in Relationship Real Talk that I'm giving to you right here, right now, is around asking for what you want, and stop putting the needs of everyone else in front of your own so that you don't ask for what you want. So, what's the other story? There was another story that actually happened before that, before the ice cream story. And what happened was my brother had come down to London to stay with my mum while I was at the awards ceremony, right? So, I was at the awards ceremony that mum was meant to come with me too, and obviously she wasn't there with me because she'd had a heart attack a couple of days after we arrived in London. And I went to the awards ceremony because that's what I wanted to do. I knew my mum wouldn't let me live it down if we'd come all the way to the other side of the world and I had not gone to the awards ceremony because of what had happened. Right, my brother had come down to be with her, so I knew that she wasn't alone. It's not like she was in hospital alone and I was off gallivanting at an awards ceremony. That's not the case. But I wanted to be there. I'm not saying that some shit didn't come up for me to get myself there while my mum was in hospital, because it did. And but I wanted to be there. Yeah, so I went to the awards ceremony. My brother came down from London, as I said. And when I got back to the house after the awards ceremony, my brother was still there. My mother had said, why don't you go with your brother up to Leeds and, spend a few days up there with him? Right? That was what she said. It wasn't what she meant though, and it wasn't where she was coming from. Like, she was putting the needs of me and my brother, because we really would have loved to have spent that time together. It would have been amazing, of course. We haven't seen each other for a long time in person. And she wasn't putting her needs of who she actually wanted to be around her. She was putting me and my brother's needs, and she was putting the needs of the family that we were staying with ahead of her own. Right? Because what she thought, and this is what unfolded, and this is absolutely incredible, right, of what unfolded. What actually happened was that the family that we were staying with said that's actually going to put us under a lot of pressure. And where mum was actually coming from was that she didn't want to overload the family that we were staying with so many people in the house, right? That was her line of thinking. So she was putting their needs ahead of her own, but she actually got it completely backward. And if she had have been upfront about it, it would have been a completely different story, because our family would have said, actually, we want you to be here, because then there's not so much pressure on them. The load is shared, right? The load is shared. And that is what ended up unfolding when we finally had a discussion about it, right? And mum was sort of out of the picture, because we were looking at what was really going on here and where everyone was coming from and what was actually going to be the most supportive of everyone, which was my brother going up to Leeds by himself, me staying there, so that there are more people to support my mum. So it was a huge lesson, right? To go to London, have this massive experience happen, so that my mum could start to really see where her focus is, that her focus is 99.99999, right, on the needs of everyone else around her. Yeah, her kids, her family, right, the guy at the store, right, just focused on what everybody else needs. Yeah. I mean, I'm having a laugh because I was having a smoothie and she was looking around at the other people going, shh, that's too loud, right? Got to keep it down because don't want to disturb anybody else, right? Whereas I'm having a whale of a time drinking all of my smoothie. I wanted to enjoy all of my smoothie. But this is where her focus has been for so many years, my beautiful mum. And it is definitely the focus for a lot of the people that I work with, the clients that come into my world, to start to shift these flight responses, these trauma responses, right? To stop the people pleasing, to stop the over accommodating, to stop losing themselves, right, in their relationships, to stop saying yes to everyone outside of themselves and saying no to themselves, right, all the time, because that is what's happening. We want to get to a place where we can say yes to ourselves, say no to others when we need to, right? Which is the most loving thing that we can do, because most people, when they realize that you are saying no to yourself by saying yes to them, right? They don't really want to be a part of that, right? I wanted my mum to have the ice cream. Yeah, I was gutted that because we said no, she missed out on her ice cream, right? And if she had have been honest with what she wanted, I could have either said, Mom, go eat the ice cream, go get what you want, enjoy it, right? And, enjoy every mouthful of that goddamn ice cream. Or I may have joined her in it. I may have been peer pressured or invited into joining her and having that ice cream with her, right? So, huge things that I help clients with. Massive, big, deeply ingrained patterns that we inherited from the behavior of our parents, which I've already shared with you about the way that our parents modeled this pattern, right? This trauma response, this flight response of making it about everyone else rather than yourself and what you want, what your needs are. So, if you need help with this, if this is something that is hugely, deeply ingrained with you, people pleasing, over accommodating, all of the things that I've been talking about in this juicy theme on Relationship Real Talk, then please reach out. This is a massive thing that us humans navigate in our relationships every single day with our kids, with our own parents, with our friends, with our family, with our bosses, right? With our colleagues, right? Putting the needs of everyone else in front of your own. It's got to stop. It's got to stop with Relationship Real Talk. So, would love to hear your thoughts on the on in the comments below. Would love to hear what landed for you. Would love to hear your experience with this flight response. Would love to hear from you if you want to understand this flight response, be able to track yourself in it, see that you're doing it, which is half of the work, and then have the tools and the approaches and what you need to be able to do something really, really differently. Your relationships are going to fucking transform. All right, I'm out. Big love, everybody. See you next week for another installment of Relationship Real Talk. Ciao. And the live video. Oh, I can't end it. Why can't I end it? That's so funny. Okay, I'm going to end it now. End.